So let's talk about nervousness. And the reason I bring this up today is I was going back and forth with one of my athletes and an athlete that you know, and she expressed she's training for the London Marathon.
Mm,
And we talked about maybe squeezing in a half marathon as a training race
yeah.
the next few weeks. And she liked the idea, but she then proceeded to write about how she gets nervous and is is that a problem with a training race before her big race? And I'm going to read the email I sent back to her and open
Yeah.
it up for discussion. So let me get it here. Okay, so here's my response to her questions and concerns about being nervous. I love this topic. Guess what? You will always be nervous. Being nervous is necessary. So do not try not to be nervous, as this will just make you more nervous. We want you to be nervous and excited at the same time. There are two types of nervousness. One is you are so nervous you hesitate and really do not like that feeling and abandon big goals and are too afraid to go for it. And the other is liking and embracing the nerves. And this gets you excited to see how close to perfect you can get. Most times, the first kind of nervousness comes from lack of preparation and dedication, and the second comes from just the opposite, pouring everything you can into your preparation. And you know where you fall. So see nervousness as your friend and a necessity for performance. Embrace the friend and expect it. And soon you will begin to fall in love with this feeling and want it more and more. And this is when the things shift from wanting success to loving the process and the journey, where it becomes a personal game you play with yourself and your goals. So bring on the half marathon. Perfect time to practice dealing with your new friend.
I like it. Nervousness. I've definitely had deep conversations around nervousness with my friend who you know, Fred. Fred helps me with a lot of this stuff. And we've come to an agreement that I use my nervousness as excitement because they border each other. And I've already established in my life that I definitely am always prepared. Like I'm not going to take something on and be underprepared. So nervousness is excitement, and it's a indicator for me to get into the zone and to like laser focus the right into the one point. And I think it can be your friend, like you said. So, but it doesn't happen overnight, and you got to basically work that skill set like you would anything else. So nervousness is just like working on your nutrition. It's just something that you build in. And I think this half marathon is a perfect place to experiment because you probably don't want to experiment with it on your A race like a London or a UTMB. So I think that's a good suggestion to go and experiment at the half. Plus you got people there, the vibe, the energy, the aid stations, it almost makes it easier than just going out and running 13.1 on your own.
Right.
So I like that you guys went down that road. And that athlete you're talking about, we won't say names, but I mean, she is one of the best blade runners in the world. So she's definitely on the overprepared side, or not overprepared, but she's put in the work.
Well, and I see it so often. I think the the age grouper athlete looks at the elites in any sport, in elites, professionals in any sport, and they think they they have confidence and they don't get nervous. And I think you and I both know that they probably get the most nervous and are probably the least confident that fuels them. And I think there's this expectation of, oh, because I'm nervous and not confident, then I'm not elite or I'm doing things wrong. But I guess my point today is that's exactly how you should feel.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of being human, to be honest.
Right.
I very rarely have met people in the sporting world that don't get nervous. I've met a few, I met a few people. My brother was one who never got nervous before a wrestling match. The guy was, I don't know, he just did his thing. He maybe didn't care about the result, and which made him even better, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but most of my teammates, I mean, yeah, UTMB week, you can feel the nerves in the house, you know. You can feel things are shifting, and it's just kind of part of um, being an athlete. And I think the key is, are you going to let it collapse you, or are you going to embrace it and let it be a way to bring in success? So it's something that you got to practice. It's not something that comes easy. And I think you got to like take it with grace and just know that everybody is probably experiencing this.
Yeah. And I think too with that, our brain is an organ, but it acts like a muscle. And so you hit it just right, is that just like we train our cardio system, we train our legs, we train our muscular skeletal system, we can train our brain just like the rest of our body. And you nailed it. It's like it takes practice, and it takes the the awareness to know that, hey, nervousness is expected,
Yeah.
and why it means something to you. It's why it's a good goal, because it is really at the forefront of your thoughts, and you want to do well. But maybe with this, and how I ended that email to her, is that if we start to fall in love with this feeling and not resist it, then our whole possibilities open up, because now that's what the process is. And it's
Yeah.
less about the result and the success of it, and more about that journey of loving yourself and that feeling of being nervous. And
Yeah.
that catapults on itself.
I kind of crave that feeling, to be honest.
Exactly.
I'm really interested to see how I handle it. And like, it's what you work so hard for. Is like, how are you, like you said, like embracing the process and you working at it and you love the process and you kind of want to take those moments as like checkpoints or check-ins to see how you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to leave it here with a quote from one of my favorite rock musicians. He said, "Success is a poor excuse for happiness." And I think that kind of is a good way to just encapsulate all this of sometimes when we're nervous, it's because we have an expectation. And if we can switch that nervousness to excitement and not about expectations, that's where things maybe get a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, what even is success? Like that was something that on my own personal journey about 10 years ago, I set out to define what success was. And I wanted to meet as many people as I could from around the world to see what their definition of success is, because I knew what I was taught and the people around me, but I wanted to get another perspective on what success is. And success can be anything. I think we're told success is one thing, and that might like lead to letdown. But for me, just to share about what my belief of success is showing up as best as you can in that moment. And that is success, and not letting it really dictate a result, because the results can change depending on so many different factors. But as long as you show up as best as you can in that moment, I think that is success.
Yeah. And I see it all the time. Athletes, they're so, they get so in their head about expectations about their running and their racing, or just the running in general. And they start, it's so weird. They start to have the success that they crave, and they don't allow themselves that success. They don't allow them to be successful, and they keep wanting it to be more. And if they really look back and reflected, they just accomplished everything they wanted to, but they're still unhappy about it. And
Totally.
that's a vicious cycle I see with a lot of age groupers, is that, hey, they're doing everything they set out to do, and because their brain is conditioned to not allow themselves that success, they don't see that they're doing exactly what they wanted to do and they're unhappy about it.
Yeah, I think people are scared to feel good about something or have a moment of content because then they may lose their edge. When in reality, I think you got to stop and appreciate those small successes or big successes. I mean,